Today I'll share with you the pros and cons of living in Fabreville, which is one of the neighborhood of the island of Laval, which is the island just north of Montreal. Before I jump in the pros and cons of Fabreville, I want to give you some general insight about the city. I know about the neighborhood. I know Fabreville because I used to live there for about 3 or 4 years. I built my own home and I even built some triplexes, some investment properties, and I have a bunch of friends that live there. It's a family-oriented city. And I know that because there's a bunch of kids that play sports, hockey, soccer. Parks are filled with kids. Schools have a lineup of kids trying to enter the school. So it's really a booming city in terms of the numbers of families that are buying in Fabreville. The older folks are selling their homes to younger families. So it's an energetic neighborhood. It's a vibrant place to live. It's really at the same time quiet neighborhood. And its population has risen to about 50,000 people that are living right now in Fabreville. And it's a really spread out, a huge territory in the northwest part of Laval. Great place to live. If this is your first time to my channel and you like having information about the real estate market, everything pertaining to living in Laval, and having some guided tours of houses, condos, duplex for sale in the surrounding areas, well, you can subscribe and hit that bell for the notifications so you'll be the first one to receive my new videos. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Gabriel. I've been a realtor since 2009, and every single day I get calls, email, texts from people just like you that write in the comments, Gabriel, I have a project, I want to buy or sell a property in the next month, 6 months, a year from now. If this is your case, feel free to hit me up, write me a comment, I'll be in touch with you and have a team, and we'll guide you from A to Z so that your transition is as smooth as possible. So now let's start with the cons. The first thing you'll notice in Fabreville is that on some streets, unfortunately, you have poor street infrastructure. You'll notice that on some street you don't have a sidewalk or you don't have a sidewalk curb. So when you're looking at the street, it does not have this appealing look, really finished look. And it's minor, but still, you'll notice if you drive on some streets in Fabreville. Second con is the fact that some neighborhoods on some specific streets are heterogeneous. I have a hard time. The opposite of being homogeneous. And what I mean by that is that on some street, you'll have a beautiful house. Next to it, a fourplex, an apartment building. Next to it, a bungalow. So on the same street, you have tenants, owners. So some people might prefer to have homogeneous sector where you have like only condos or only single-family homes. Well, you have that in Fabreville, but in some areas, you'll notice the fact that you have all sorts of different type of properties on the same street. In Fabreville, you got a bunch of different pluses, but you don't have fine dining restaurants, that's for sure, because it's a family-oriented neighborhood. So you have like chicken places, pizza places, you can buy some Lebanese sandwiches, but that's about it. If you want to have a fine dining experience, you have to drive up north. You use the Highway 13 to go to Boisbriand, and you have a bunch of restaurants, or you go straight to the downtown area of Laval, Centropolis. I've spoken about this area in several of my other videos, and you have a bunch of different options, or even maybe go to sainte-rose where you have nice restaurants. But Fabreville, no fine dining restaurants. I've asked a couple of my friends that have kids, I asked them, what are the cons? From your perspective of living in Fabreville, because they live in Fabreville, and a lot of them, they're dads because they have kids and they go to parks every single weekend to play all kinds of sports, baseball, soccer. And they told me that the neighborhood of Fabreville has some old recreational amenities in the sense that their parks, soccer fields, baseball fields, are kind of old. Not all of them, but some have been built like decades back, so they're, a nice refresh and nice remodeling of all the different recreational outdoor facilities, amenities could be renovated, and they'd be happy. So I'm kind of picky, but that's the reality. And I've asked a lot of different friends of mine that are owner in this area, their perspective. And that's one thing that came pretty often. In Fabreville, we have access to water, which means that we have waterfront. It's nice when you go for a walk. But at the same time, all the different areas where you have water nearby, well, you have flooding problems. And in the last recent years, some of those streets, especially when you go on the western part of Fabreville and you cross the Highway 13, after Highway 13 on Fabreville West, in the avenues, excuse me, that might be a client that wants to buy a house in Fabreville, excuse me. So what I was saying basically is that when you go to the Fabreville western part of Fabreville, close to the water, in the avenues, there's lots of streets that have been affected by flood, unfortunately. So it's nice to have access to water, but it comes with the negative side of having occasionally some flood problems. Now let's look at the pros of living in Fabreville, this beautiful neighborhood in Laval, in the northwest part of Laval. I used to live there, great place. First thing that comes to my mind, you have easy access to several highways. Like I said, it's a huge neighborhood. So you have access to Highway 13 on the western part of Fabreville, Highway 15 in the center part of Fabreville, and both sides of Fabreville, east and west, have access to Highway 440. It's a main highway that crosses Laval from east to west, west to east. So basically, wherever you live in Fabreville, you have that easy access to a highway to go work, to go to school, to go everywhere you need to go. So that's a big plus. You know that in the morning, if you have to hop in your car, go to work, you'll be on the highway within, I don't know, depending 5-7 minutes at most, maybe 8 minutes, but that's a big plus. Another pro is that real estate prices in Fabreville are more affordable, less expensive, and when you compare to the surrounding area, especially Sainte-Rose and Chomedey. To give you an idea, if you were to buy a single family home in Fabreville, I used the average price of last month in April. I look at my notes. A house was worth $601K for a single family home in Fabreville, as opposed to $659K in Chomedey or $665K in Sainte-Rose. So about 10% cheaper in Fabreville compared to Sainte-Rose or Chomedey, the two of the neighborhoods that are close to Fabreville. So you save a little money when you buy a house in Fabreville. Fabreville has a strategic geographical position. What I mean by that is that when I speak to buyers that buy a home in Fabreville, and I sell a lot of homes in Fabreville, I always ask the buyers, why did you pick Fabreville? And a great portion of those that are buying homes in Fabreville close to Highway 13 will tell me, well, Gabriel, I work on the western part of Montreal, Dorval, Saint-Laurent, Pierrefonds, Roxborough, Western Island, all the western part of Montreal, all those different neighborhoods. And if I buy a house over there, it's really pricey. But when I cross the bridge and I go north to Laval and I use Highway 13, I hit Fabreville, it's way cheaper. So it's really convenient for those of you that work on the western part of Montreal or might have kids that go to school. A lot of the kids for my clients, they go to school in Pierrefonds, Roxborough. So they know it's not so far away and they save a lot of money by buying in Fabreville, especially when you're close to Highway 13, like 4 minutes drive to Highway 13. You hop on the highway, you go to Montreal straight away. Another big plus about its positioning, its geographical positioning, I have a hard time saying that, geographical positioning, is that, for instance, when I was living in Fabreville a couple of years back, my friend was living on the same street. And some evening, February, my friend Mark was calling me, hey, you want to go ski? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go. Look at my watch, 6 o'clock. I stop by my friend's place. He comes in the truck. We go straight to Saint-Sauveur, Mont Saint-Sauveur to ski. 27, 28 minutes, we were at the ski resort. So that means you take Highway 13 north, Highway 640, 15 north. You go straight to Saint-Sauveur. Within 30 minutes, you'll be on the slopes to ski. So that's really nice in terms of its positioning. Think about it. Fabreville has great parks and green spaces. A friend of mine, Mark, again, I talk about Mark because he's been living for like 17 years, I think, in Fabreville. 2 summers ago, during COVID, the first COVID, he's like, he told his kids, well, this summer, kids, Tristan and Elliot, his 2 sons, he's like, okay, this summer, we'll go every single weekend, we'll try a different park in Fabreville. We'll exercise and prepare our future hockey season, because Mark is a great dad. He used to take his kids to the park and do some physical conditioning to prepare for the hockey season. And every single weekend, he was hopping from one park to the other, to the other, to the other. And at the end of the summer, I said, Mark, how do you like the parks? Well, he said, there's great parks. They're really great. There's a great variety. And he told me at the same time that some needed love, some needed to be remodeled by the city. But generally speaking, there was a great variety of parks. And not only that, in Fabreville, there's great waterfront. You can have, if you have a boat, you have access to the water. That's really nice. If you like to go for a walk in nature, you have Le Bois de la Source, for instance, in the western part of Fabreville, which is really great. So you hop on your car, you drive for 5-10 minutes and you'll be in nature. You'll feel like you're just in the Laurentians. You'll go have a walk close to the water. There's a nice place. I used to live close to Highway 13 where you can go feed the birds and just look at the sunset. It's beautiful. I used to read there when I was too stressed out with my master's degree. I was stopping there to read. So great place to relax in nature in Fabreville. Another big pro about Fabreville is you got French and English elementary school. And you got a high school, a French high school, a middle school, because it's only for part of the high school. It's called Polyjeunesse. And Polyjeunesse is a great school. And around the school, you have sports facilities for students to play all kinds of sports. So within Fabreville, your kids could go in a French or English school. This is great. So everybody's happy. Last but not least, in Fabreville, you got great local amenities and activities you can do with your family. You got shops, all kinds of retail shops. Curie-Labelle Boulevard, Dagenet Boulevard, two main boulevards that you have in Fabreville. And on those specific boulevard, you got a bunch of different retail stores. And you even have some specialized stores. You got a home hardware, you got some pool stores. So you got all sorts of stores. You can even live in Fabreville and not leave Fabreville, just live in Fabreville the rest of your life and you would have everything you need. You even have a Canadian Tire, which is a huge store where you can buy a bunch of stuff. You also have indoor recreational activities and outdoor recreational activities. Indoor, you have the Funtropolis. This is a great place. People from all parts of Montreal and the surrounding area come to Funtropolis. It's an indoor recreational activity. Check out on Google, you'll see it's really a famous place. You can play bowling, you got a bowling alley. Outside, you can go play golf within Fabreville at Golf UFO or Golf Sainte-Rose. Really great. You can play all sorts of sports in the parks, like I said. So generally speaking, you got everything you need to be happy with your family. You can have fun in Fabreville. You can shop for everything you need in Fabreville. It's a really nice place to live and raise a family. You'll enjoy it. So this is it for my video about the pros and cons of living in Fabreville, which is a neighborhood in Laval. If you're planning on moving to Laval or the surrounding areas, my team and I were there to help. Shoot us a text, call us, write a comment, and we'll be happy to help you and guide you through this transition from A to Z. In the meantime, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.